Honestly, as I follow these developments, a trembling shudder runs down my spine in horror. It is hard to accept that there are people in this world who can so nonchalantly trample over trust and kindness with such extreme, cold-blooded calculation. My verdict on this character is final. This isn't mere greed. It's a manifestation of severe moral decay from the uneducated. The way they wear the mask of a loved one, fully exploiting the goodness and tolerance of others for their base interests, is despicable and tramples on every principle of human decency.
I still remember the sound of Evan's laugh echoing through the hallway. That familiar, easy-going chuckle that used to make me feel like everything in the world was right. That morning, I even smiled hearing it as I came home early from work, an unexpected half-day gifted by my boss. I had planned to surprise Rachel with lunch, maybe rekindle some of the closeness we'd lost over the past few months. Instead, I ended up surprising myself in the worst way imaginable. The first sign was the silence that followed the laughter. A sharp contrast, like a door slamming shut in the middle of a sunny day. I paused in the foyer, one hand still on the door handle, the other clutching a paper bag from the Italian deli she loved. It felt too quiet. No TV, no footsteps. No, hey babe, you're home early. Something in my gut twisted. I wish I could say I didn't know what was coming. But the truth? Some part of me had known for weeks. Rachel had been different. The way she'd pull away during our kisses. The mysterious texts she claimed were from her yoga group. The way she had started locking her phone, a habit she'd never had before. But I convinced myself it was just stress. Marriage was hard sometimes, right? I set the bag down on the console table, moving through the house slowly, quietly. The living room was empty. So was the kitchen. But our bedroom door was shut. Not locked, just shut. And from behind it, the faintest sound of a moan. My heart dropped. I opened the door. I wish I hadn't. God, I wish I hadn't. There they were. Rachel, my wife of 7 years, on top of my best friend, Evan. Her head was thrown back, eyes closed, mouth parted in that breathless moan I hadn't heard from her in over a year. Her nails dug into his chest. Their bodies moved together with a rhythm that shattered something inside me. I didn't say a word. They didn't see me at first. It wasn't until Evan shifted slightly and caught my reflection in the mirror that everything stopped. Rachel's scream pierced the air, shrill and panicked. She scrambled off him, grabbing at the sheets, stammering my name like it would undo the betrayal I'd just witnessed. Evan froze, eyes wide, pale, a deer in headlights, except the car had already hit him. Sam, fuck man, I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't answer him. I was staring at Rachel, my wife, the woman I'd spent years loving, building a life with. Her cheeks were flushed with shame, but I couldn't tell if it was because she got caught or because she finally had to face me. I can explain, she said. Her voice cracked. It wasn't supposed to be like this. What part? I asked, my voice quiet. Too quiet. The part where you were fucking my best friend? Or the part where you planned to do it in our bed? She flinched. It just happened. That cliché. That goddamn cliché. I laughed. I actually laughed. A cold, bitter sound that didn't feel like it came from me. You said you were going to your sister's this morning, I said, staring at her. You kissed me goodbye and told me you loved me. I do love you, she whispered, eyes full of tears. I turned to Evan. And you? What's your excuse? Evan ran a hand through his hair. I didn't plan this, Sam. I swear. One night after drinks, it just happened and we didn't know how to stop it. Fuck man, I didn't want to hurt you. But you did it anyway, I snapped. You could have come to me. You could have said something before it got this far. He didn't reply. Couldn't. The silence stretched. Rachel was crying now, clutching the sheet to her chest, trying to cover herself as if modesty mattered at this point. I walked out, not because I couldn't take it anymore, but because I had nothing else to say, nothing that would change what I'd seen, nothing that would make it hurt any less. The moment the door shut behind me, the weight of it all hit me like a goddamn freight train. My knees buckled. I sat on the edge of the stairs, head in my hands, trying to process the implosion of everything I thought I knew. My best friend, my wife, 7 years of marriage, 15 years of friendship, all gone, just like that. And yet, somewhere in that sea of pain and disbelief, a cold, quiet voice in the back of my mind whispered something I didn't expect. They made their choice. Now I'll make mine. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I knew it wasn't forgiveness. Not this time. Not after this. Not after them. I stood, numb but steady. My chest burned with a mixture of heartbreak and something darker. A storm was forming, and somewhere in the middle of that chaos, one truth stood out above all. I was going to make them feel it. Every single bit. You'd think the worst part of discovering your wife in bed with your best friend would be the actual discovery, but it wasn't. The worst part came after. The silence. The looks. The empty space in the bed next to me that used to smell like her vanilla shampoo. The ache in my chest when I reached for someone who wasn't reaching back. I didn't move out. Not yet. Rachel started sleeping in the guest room after that night, and Evan, I hadn't seen or spoken to him since, which suited me fine. My head was a mess. I couldn't focus at work, couldn't eat. Nights were the worst. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them together. I'd built a life with Rachel, trusted Evan with my secrets, my struggles, my victories. And they used that trust to fuck each other behind my back. There's a unique kind of pain in betrayal. It's sharp and slow all at once, like being cut with a blade made of ice. But somewhere in that coldness, a spark flickered. Revenge wasn't my first instinct. It never had been. But grief has layers, and anger is one of them. And once I started peeling everything back, the idea took hold. Not just any revenge. Not petty words or some drunken scene. No, I wanted precision. I wanted to hit Evan somewhere he'd actually feel it. That's when I thought of her. Brooke, Evan's little sister. God, Brooke. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and made it warmer. Tall, wild auburn hair, always pulled back in some casual braid or bun like she couldn't be bothered with the extra effort. Full lips, eyes the color of wet cedar, and a laugh that sounded like summer. I'd always liked her, but from a distance. Respectfully. She was Evan's sister, after all. But now the rules had changed. It started with a message. Hey Brooke, long time. Want to grab coffee sometime soon? Been meaning to catch up. Let me know. I kept it casual, innocent, friendly. She replied 10 minutes later. Sam. Wow, hey. Yeah, I'd love to catch up. Been way too long. You free this weekend? Just like that, the wheels were in motion. I met her on Saturday at this indie coffee shop near downtown. She was already seated at a table by the window, a black latte in front of her and a book half-read in her hands. She looked up and grinned when she saw me. Hey stranger, she said, standing for a hug. When our bodies touched, something electric passed between us. It wasn't just old friends reconnecting. There was heat, unspoken curiosity, maybe even tension that had lingered for years and never found a place to land. I pulled back just a little slower than I should have. You look good, Sam, she said, smiling. Different, though. Little tired. Everything okay? I gave a small shrug. Long week. Life stuff. She nodded, eyes soft with genuine concern. Want to talk about it? Not yet. We talked for an hour. About books, movies, the job I hated, the job she loved. She told me she'd finally started her own photography business. Travel portraits, weddings, even boudoir shoots. The mention of that lit something in me I hadn't felt in weeks. Not lust exactly. Something deeper. Interest. Fascination. A pull. I didn't mention Rachel. Or Evan. Not during that first coffee. I wasn't ready. Not because I was lying, but because I didn't know what I was doing yet. But the moment I saw her eyes light up when she spoke about Iceland, or how she blushed just slightly when she laughed too hard at one of my stories, yeah, I knew then. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. Still, the seed had been planted. Evan's betrayal left a crater, and Brooke was the first person to make me feel like I wasn't buried inside it. The thought of him finding out? That was just the icing. Hey, she said as we walked toward the parking lot after coffee. We should do this again. Dinner, maybe? I like that, I said, watching the sunlight hit her cheekbones just right. She smiled, her hand brushing my arm before we parted. I'll text you. As I watched her walk away, her jeans hugging her hips, the sway in her step unintentional but hypnotic, a thought crossed my mind. What if this wasn't just a plan anymore? What if this was a beginning? I got in my car, heart thudding like it hadn't in weeks. Not from pain this time, but from anticipation. Brooke had always been off limits. Untouchable. But now she was orbiting closer. And I wasn't sure if I wanted her because of what Evan did, or in spite of it. Either way, the game had changed, and I was just getting started. Brooke picked the place this time, a low-key bar tucked between a florist and a yoga studio downtown. Charming in the way only something curated and a little messy could be. The walls were exposed brick, the lighting dim enough to feel intimate, and the air smelled like cedarwood, whiskey, and orange peel. There was a jazz band in the corner playing a smoky instrumental version of Ain't No Sunshine, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't match the mood humming under my skin. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in a booth near the back, her hair down tonight, cascading over her shoulders in loose curls that caught the candlelight. She was sipping something amber, swirling it absently as she scanned the room. Her lips parted into a slow smile when she saw me. Goddamn, she looked good. Hey, stranger, she said, sliding over to give me room. Hey yourself. I ordered a bourbon, neat, and tried to keep my eyes from wandering the line of her throat down to the soft dip of cleavage visible beneath her emerald green blouse. She wasn't trying to be sexy. Brooke never had to try. She just was. And now that the old rules no longer applied, I was noticing all the things I used to push away. How's life? She asked, raising a brow. A loaded question if I'd ever heard one. Complicated. She tilted her glass toward me. Aren't we all? We talked for a while, easier this time. The conversation flowed with more laughter, more comfort, like we'd clicked into some familiar rhythm. She told me about a nightmare client from her last wedding shoot, and I found myself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in what felt like forever. She leaned in when she told stories, touching my arm when she made a point, and every brush of her fingers was like a match strike across my skin. There was a lull, then, and she looked at me, really looked. So, Sam, why now? I blinked. What do you mean? I mean, she said slowly, swirling her drink again. You've known me for what, decade? We've always gotten along, sure, but this sudden effort to hang out, to connect, what changed? I hesitated. My pulse ticked faster. Should I lie? Should I tell her the truth? That I saw her as a way to get even with her brother? That this started as strategy, not sincerity? But something in her gaze made me pause. She wasn't playing a game. She wasn't playing me. She was just trying to understand. So I gave her a version of the truth. I found out Rachel was cheating on me, I said, voice low. Her face softened. Sam, shit, I'm so sorry. With Evan, I added. The air left her in a sharp breath. She stared at me, stunned. Wait, my Evan. I nodded. Her mouth moved like she wanted to say something, but no words came. Her hand reached out, touched mine on the table. Not flirtatious, just human. Soft and steady. Jesus, she said, blinking fast. I don't even know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I replied. I'm still processing it myself. She was quiet for a while, just tracing the rim of her glass with her thumb, like her brain was trying to catch up. When did you find out? A week ago. And this? She asked, finally looking back at me, eyes searching. Us meeting, was this about that? I hesitated, but only for a beat. Maybe it started that way. I admitted, voice rough. But it doesn't feel like that anymore. She looked at me for a long time. Then she exhaled through her nose, slow and shaky. Well, she said, a wry little smile pulling at the corner of her lips. That's honest, at least. I wasn't expecting to enjoy being around you this much, I said. You kind of snuck up on me. Don't think I haven't noticed the way you look at me tonight, she said, sipping her drink again. That's not just enjoyment, Sam. I met her gaze, and this time I didn't look away. You're right. The moment stretched between us. The air grew thick with something neither of us named, but both of us felt. Her eyes dropped to my lips and back up again. Walk me to my car, she asked. Yeah, I said, my voice a little too deep. Outside, the city buzzed quietly, streetlights painting silver outlines on the sidewalk. We walked slowly, close but not touching, and when we reached her car, she turned toward me, keys dangling between her fingers. I wasn't sure what tonight would be, she said. Neither was I. She stepped closer, not invading, inviting. I don't do casual, she said. Not well, anyway. Neither do I. Her hand touched my chest. My heart thudded beneath it. You don't have to prove anything, Sam. Not to me. Not to them. I'm not trying to. Her fingers curled in my shirt. Then kiss me like you mean it. And I did. It wasn't angry. It wasn't desperate. It was slow, aching, full of heat and confusion and all the tension we'd ignored for years. Her mouth open beneath mine, her body melting against me, and everything else, the pain, the betrayal, the plan, burned away. There, in the middle of a quiet downtown street, I kissed Brooke Evans not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted her. There was a subtle shift the morning after that kiss. I felt it when I woke up alone in my apartment, the memory of her still warm on my lips. I hadn't brought her home, not because I didn't want to, but because neither of us wanted to cross a line we couldn't uncross. Not yet. The kiss was a fuse, lit and sparking. We were just waiting to see where the explosion would land. I didn't hear from Brooke for 2 days. I didn't reach out either. Part of me wanted to text her, to call, to ask her if she'd felt what I felt. But another part of me, the part still tethered to the wreckage of my marriage and friendship, was too scared to confront what it might mean if she had. She messaged me on the 3rd day, still thinking about Friday night. Can we talk? So we met. Neutral ground again, this time at a quiet park on the edge of the city. The air smelled like damp grass and spring, and we sat on an old wooden bench beneath a towering elm tree. The sun flickered through the leaves like it was undecided about showing up fully. She was already waiting when I arrived, hands wrapped around a coffee cup, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. No makeup this time. Just Brooke, raw and beautiful and, if I'm being honest, slightly nervous. "Thanks for meeting me," she said, offering a small smile. I wanted to. She nodded, then fell quiet. I sat beside her, not touching, not speaking, just letting the silence settle before she finally broke it. I couldn't stop thinking about that kiss. Me neither. It felt. She trailed off, searching for the word. Right. I offered. She looked at me. Yeah, but also complicated. That made me chuckle under my breath. Everything's complicated these days. She smiled, but there was something behind it. Something deeper. I need to ask you something, she said, her tone suddenly serious. And I need you to be honest. I tensed but nodded. Go ahead. When you messaged me last week, did you already know about Evan and Rachel? I exhaled slowly. No use dodging it now. Yeah, I did. She looked down at her coffee. So reaching out to me, was it part of a plan? I hesitated. At first, maybe. I was angry. Hurt. I wanted to, hell, I don't know, reclaim something. Feel like I wasn't just sitting in the ruins of my life, letting them win. She nodded slowly, processing. But then, I added, I sat across from you that day at the coffee shop and you smiled. You made me laugh. And something shifted. The plan stopped being about revenge. I just wanted to see you again. That's the truth. Her eyes met mine. There was something in them now, curiosity, maybe even hope, but it was guarded. I can live with that, she said softly. But I need you to know something too. I waited, sensing the weight behind her words. I've had feelings for you for a long time, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I tried to ignore them because you were married, and you were Evan's best friend. But you were always the one I looked for at family parties. You were the one I watched when you weren't looking. I didn't know what to say. My chest tightened with the kind of ache that wasn't pain. It was something else. Something full of regret and wonder and timing that never quite aligned. I never acted on it, she continued. I would have never come between you and Rachel. But now things are different. And I need to know if we are real, or if I'm just your way of hurting Evan. The question hung in the air between us, heavy and sharp. I leaned closer, not touching her, just close enough to feel her breath. Brooke, I don't want to hurt you. I did come to you out of pain. But I stayed because being with you, it doesn't feel like part of a plan. It feels like something I didn't even know I was missing. She looked at me for a long moment, then set her coffee down and turned toward me fully. I need you to promise me something. Anything. No more half-truths. No more holding back. If this is going to go anywhere, I need all of you. Not just the pieces left behind after Rachel and Evan blew your life up. I reached for her hand. She let me take it. You'll have all of me, I said. Even the broken parts. She smiled. And for the first time since this whole thing began, it felt like the ground beneath me stopped shaking. Just for a second. We stayed there, hand in hand, the world quiet around us. I didn't know what would come next, but I knew this. Brooke wasn't a weapon. She was something else entirely. Maybe even my second chance. There's a moment after everything explodes when you feel like the smoke is finally clearing, that you've somehow stepped out of the fire, wounded but breathing. And then the wind shifts and you realize you're still standing in the middle of it. You were just in the eye of the storm. That's what this chapter of my life felt like. Brooke and I weren't just seeing each other anymore. It wasn't casual. It wasn't some half-assed rebound. We were something real, growing from the wreckage. We saw each other most evenings now. Sometimes just for a walk, sometimes curled up on the couch at her place, drinking red wine and talking about everything we never had a chance to say back then. She asked questions. She didn't poke at my pain, but she didn't shy away from it either. And I answered, honestly. I told her how I found out, what I saw, the look on Rachel's face when I caught them, how my world didn't just fall apart. It cracked open and showed me all the ways I'd ignored what was right in front of me. I hated him for what he did, I said one night as we lay tangled on her sofa, my arm under her head, her hand tracing idle circles on my chest. But I think what hurt more was how fast Rachel just gave herself to him. Like everything we built meant nothing. Brooke didn't say anything right away. She just pressed her lips softly to my shoulder and held me closer. But not everyone was staying quiet. It started with a message. Jill, you and Brooke? It was Evan. Short, direct, fucking bold considering. I didn't answer right away. I let the message sit there, burning a hole in my screen. That same night, he showed up outside my building. I heard the knock, 2 firm raps, followed by silence. When I opened the door, there he was. Evan, my best friend since college. The man who used to help me move furniture, who toasted me at my wedding, who knew my deepest shit. And now he was just the guy who screwed my wife. He looked like hell, unshaven, eyes dark circled, his usual cocky swagger replaced by a twitchy kind of restlessness. We need to talk, he said. I stepped outside, shut the door behind me. Go on. He looked me up and down like he didn't recognize me. You're seeing Brooke? Yeah. That's low, man. I laughed. An ugly, bitter sound. Low. You think I crossed a line? That's fucking rich coming from the guy who was balls deep in my wife in our bed. He flinched, but kept his voice level. It wasn't planned. Rachel and I, it just happened. There's that phrase again, I said. You both really love it. She was miserable, Sam. She told me you were cold. That things hadn't been good between you for a long time. My jaw clenched. So what? You thought you'd warm her up? She came to me, and you said yes. Over and over again. He looked away. This thing with Brooke, it's not right. You know it's not. I stepped closer, my voice cold. I didn't plan to fall for her. But I am. And you don't get to police who I love after everything you did. Evan stared at me, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not just jealousy, fear. She's my sister, man, he said. This is going to destroy everything. No, I said quietly. You already did that. He didn't have a response. I turned and walked back inside, but the damage was done. He knew, and things were about to get even messier. 2 days later, Brooke got the call. It was their mother. Evan had been by their parents' house and casually brought up our relationship over dinner. According to Brooke, he made it sound like I'd seduced her out of spite, that I was using her, manipulating her. Brooke was furious. He's trying to poison them against you, she said as we sat at her kitchen table. He wants them to think this is some revenge plot. And what do they think? She hesitated. They're confused. Protective. My mom said she'd never thought of you that way. And my dad asked if I was sure I wasn't being used. I winced. Jesus. Brooke reached across the table and grabbed my hand. I told him the truth. That I'm not some pawn. That I love being with you. And that Evan has no place trying to dictate who I choose. That word stuck in my head. Love. She'd said it softly, naturally. Not a declaration, but not an accident either. I didn't say it back. Not yet. But I felt it. Every time I looked at her. Every time I imagined a future that didn't feel like a goddamn funeral. Later that night, as we lay in her bed, her skin bare and pressed against mine, she whispered into the dark, "If I have to choose between them and you, I'll choose you." I wrapped my arms around her and kissed her forehead. I didn't have the words yet, but I would. I just needed time. Because this thing with Brooke, it wasn't just healing. It was home. Brooke didn't speak to Evan for a week after that dinner. She said she needed space from his manipulation, and I supported her, silently thankful he was finally out of our orbit, even if just for a while. Things between us had only grown stronger in that time. It wasn't just sex, though there was plenty of that. Long, slow nights tangled in sheets, skin on skin, breathless laughter between kisses. It was the way we started learning each other's routines, falling into each other's lives like it was the most natural thing in the world. I found myself reaching for her hand in public without thinking. She'd cook dinner for the both of us on Wednesday nights. I'd surprise her with morning coffee before her shoots. There were mornings she'd be getting dressed. Nothing but a t-shirt and those soft black panties she loved. And I'd catch myself just watching her in the mirror, wondering how the hell I got so lucky after being burned so badly. But the silence couldn't last forever. It was a Friday night when everything cracked wide open. I was at Brooke's place. We just finished eating Thai food on the couch, and she was nestled into my side, her fingers idly drawing lines along my forearm. That's when she asked, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I looked down at her. Tell you what, the whole story, about what happened that night with Rachel and Evan. How you found out, what exactly you saw. I hesitated, the memory hitting me like a steel door to the chest. I didn't want you to picture it, but I already do, she said softly. And I want to know what you've been carrying. I want to understand. So I told her everything. The moment I walked in, the sound of her moaning, the way Evan's back was arched between Rachel's legs, the frozen shock on their faces when they saw me, Rachel's pathetic excuses, Evan's cowardly silence. By the time I was done, Brooke's face was pale. Her body had gone stiff. "He did that to you?" she whispered, voice trembling. "My brother?" "Yeah." She stood up, wrapped her arms around herself, pacing the small space between the kitchen and the couch. "I thought I was angry before," she said. "But that's fucking evil. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a betrayal that left scars." I watched her from the couch, unsure of what to say. Part of me was scared I'd said too much, that maybe I'd shattered whatever comfort she'd found in distancing Evan's actions from who he really was. Then she turned, eyes on fire, and he tried to make me feel guilty, like I was doing something wrong by being with you. Her voice cracked on the last word. I stood and crossed the room to her. "Hey, this isn't on you. None of it is. He made his choices. So did Rachel. We're just living in the aftermath." Brooke shook her head, tears threatening behind her eyes. "I need to talk to him. Really talk to him." "You sure?" She nodded. "He needs to hear this from me, and I need to say it." The confrontation happened 2 days later. Brooke met him at their parents' house. "Neutral ground," she said. I didn't go. She asked for space, and I respected that, but I was on edge all day, stomach tight with anxiety, imagining how the conversation might go. Part of me feared she'd walk in, see her brother's broken expression, and forgive him. Maybe even walk away from us to keep the peace. But that night, when she walked into my apartment, I knew immediately she hadn't chosen him. She closed the door behind her, her body tight with tension. She dropped her keys on the counter and stood there for a long beat before finally speaking. I told him everything, and she looked up at me. He tried to play the victim at first. Said you and Rachel were falling apart anyway. That she told him you didn't love her anymore. That it just happened. I clenched my jaw. Of course he did. Brooke crossed the room and stood in front of me, her eyes hard. I told him that wasn't an excuse. That she was still your wife, and he was still your best friend. I told him I saw what it did to you, Sam. I told him I felt it. She took my hand, and I told him I love you. That stopped everything in me. I blinked at her, my chest tightening. "You what?" "I love you," she said, her voice quieter now. "And it's not revenge. It's not a rebound. It's real, Sam. It's scary as hell, but it's real." I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. "I love you too," I said. We stood there, holding onto each other like we were anchoring ourselves to something solid in a world that had been nothing but unstable for months. But I could still feel the tension radiating off her. "What else happened?" I asked gently. Brooke looked down. I told him I was done. Done. With him. With Rachel. With pretending this family isn't full of cracks and rot and bullshit. I told him I can't have people in my life who destroy others and call it love. It hit me hard. The weight of what she'd sacrificed. Evan wasn't just her brother. He was her childhood, her family history, someone she'd leaned on for years. And now, she'd chosen me instead. Are you okay? I asked. She nodded. Not really, but I will be. We spent the rest of the night in bed, not rushing anything. Just slow touches, gentle movements, quiet, whispered affirmations between kisses. It wasn't about sex, not this time. It was about closeness, healing, truth. The lines between us were no longer blurry. But the lines between us and the rest of the world, they were about to be tested like never before. It was a Sunday morning, one of those gray, indecisive days where the sky can't decide whether it wants to cry or clear. Brooke was still asleep beside me, her leg draped over mine, her hair a mess of auburn waves across the pillow. I lay there for a while, watching the rise and fall of her back, feeling the way her body instinctively curled toward mine even in sleep. It was peace, real peace, the kind that makes you forget what war feels like. Until Rachel texted, "We need to talk. I'm outside." My heart stopped for a second. I carefully slid out of bed, trying not to wake Brooke, and padded into the kitchen, phone in hand. I looked out the window, and there she was, Rachel, standing on the sidewalk with her arms crossed, hair pulled into a tight bun, wearing a hoodie I recognized as one of mine. She looked smaller than I remembered. Maybe she was smaller, or maybe I'd just grown too much to see her the same way anymore. I opened the door. She looked up at me. Her eyes were tired, ringed in dark circles. "Hey," she said quietly. "Rachel," I said flat. "Can we talk?" I hesitated, then stepped aside. She walked in, glancing around the apartment. Her eyes caught sight of a pair of Brooke sneakers by the door. Her jaw tightened. "She's here. She lives here now," I said. Rachel turned slowly to face me. That was fast. I folded my arms. Or did you just not notice how slow we were falling apart for the last year? She winced. "I deserve that." "Yeah," I said. "You do." She sighed, then sat at the edge of the couch, like she was afraid it might collapse under her. "Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm here because I made a mistake. A huge one. And I've been waking up every day trying to figure out how the hell I got so far from the person I used to be." I said nothing. She looked up at me, her eyes glassy. "I left Evan weeks ago. I didn't tell you because I didn't think it mattered. But it does, doesn't it? You think leaving him makes this better?" "I think it shows I wasn't choosing him over you," she said quickly. "I was broken, Sam. You and I were broken. And instead of fixing it, I fucked it up worse. But I still love you. I still think we could fix this. Start over." I didn't respond right away. I just stared at her, trying to locate even a trace of the woman I'd once married. But all I saw was a memory. Something once bright, now dulled and faded. "I'm in love with Brooke," I said simply. She blinked like I'd slapped her. "You're not serious." "I am. That's his sister, Sam. And you slept with my best friend. I think we passed the point of etiquette a long time ago." Rachel stood. "You're doing this to punish me." "No," I said, voice low. "I'm doing this because she sees me. Because with her, I don't feel like I'm constantly climbing uphill to prove I'm enough." She never asked me to be perfect. She just wanted me. There was a long silence. Rachel's face crumpled slightly, and for the first time, she didn't look angry. She just looked sad. "I miss us," she whispered. "I miss who we used to be, but we're not them anymore." Just then, I heard the soft creak of the bedroom door. "Brooke." She stepped out, wearing one of my t-shirts, her expression unreadable. She froze when she saw Rachel standing in the living room. Rachel turned slowly, and for a moment, no one spoke. "Oh," Rachel said. "Well, that explains a lot." Brooke folded her arms across her chest, her jaw clenched. "Didn't realize we were expecting company." "I didn't come to start a fight," Rachel said, lifting her chin. "I came to talk to my husband." "Ex-husband," Brooke said. "Not yet." The tension in the room was electric. Rachel and Brooke, mirror opposites, locked in a silent battle that had nothing to do with words. Rachel looked polished but hollow. Brooke looked raw, real, and grounded. "You should go," Brooke said softly. Rachel looked at me, waiting, maybe even hoping. I didn't say a word. Eventually, She got the message. She walked to the door slowly. Before she stepped out, she turned back one last time. Just remember who was there when you built this life. And then she was gone. Brooke let out a shaky breath and leaned against the wall. I crossed the room and wrapped my arms around her. She's still in love with you, she murmured. It doesn't matter. It kinda does. I pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. You overheard that whole thing? She nodded. Every word. I was going to tell you. She just showed up. Brooke held up a hand. You don't owe me an apology for her showing up. But if I'm going to be in this with you, I need to know where your heart actually is. It's with you, I said, without hesitation. It's been with you for a while now. Brooke looked at me for a long time, then nodded. But I could still feel it, that subtle fracture, that question lingering in her eyes. Sometimes the past doesn't need permission to haunt the present. And sometimes, love isn't enough to silence every echo. The fallout from Rachel's visit didn't erupt right away. At first, things between Brooke and me returned to something close to normal, at least on the surface. We still had our quiet mornings, our whispered laughter over takeout, our slow, consuming nights wrapped up in sheets and each other. But something subtle had shifted. Brooke didn't say it, but I could feel her pulling back, just a few inches but enough to notice. When she kissed me, there was a pause, like her heart was waiting to see if mine would hesitate. And when I told her I loved her, she'd still say it back, but sometimes her eyes would flick away a beat too soon. That rift widened the day Evan showed up. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was leaving the gym when I spotted him leaning against my car, like he owned the fucking thing. Still wearing that smug, too casual look like none of this mattered as much as it did. I kept walking. Sam, he called out. Don't pretend you didn't see me. I sighed. You've got about 10 seconds before I lose every ounce of self-control I've got left. He smirked, but there was something off in his eyes. So Rachel told me about her little visit. I unlocked the car. Good for her. She also told me you're playing house with Brooke now. Real cute. That did it. I turned to him slowly. She's not part of your mess anymore. You don't get to speak about her like she's some pawn in your game. He stepped closer. She's my sister, Sam. And whether you like it or not, this affects more than just you. No, Evan. You and Rachel made your choices. We're just dealing with the goddamn aftermath. He shook his head. You've always had this savior complex, man. Like you're better than everyone else. You're not. I laughed, but came out bitter. That's rich coming from a guy who fucked his best friend's wife and then tried to make it sound like charity work. His face darkened. She came to me. Don't forget that. I don't. Every time I close my goddamn eyes, I remember. He went quiet then. Just stood there, breathing hard, fist tight at his sides. I came here to tell you something, he said finally. Our parents are hosting a dinner next week. Brooke's invited. They want to talk. About you. About everything. I blinked. You're kidding. I'm not. They think this whole thing is spiraling out of control. They're worried about Brooke. About the family. I'm not her family, I said, stepping toward him now. I'm the guy who picked up the pieces after her family shattered everything. He didn't answer, and I didn't wait for him to. That night, Brooke was already home when I got in. She was sitting at the table, a half-drunk glass of wine in front of her, laptop open but untouched. Her expression told me everything. You saw him, she said. I nodded. He told you about the dinner? Yeah. She stood up, wrapping her arms around herself like she was bracing for impact. They want me to choose. The words hit harder than they should have. Choose, I echoed. They're not saying it outright, but you can feel it. My mom keeps bringing up Evan. My dad keeps talking about forgiveness and keeping the family whole. And now that Rachel's crawling back to you, they think it's some triangle we should all just move past. I stepped toward her. Do you think that? She looked up at me. Eyes raw, guard down. No, but I feel like I'm being dragged back into a family that refuses to see the truth. That won't admit what Evan and Rachel did was wrong. They want to sweep it under the rug and pretend none of it happened. Then don't go, I said. Don't let them guilt you into silence. Brooke's hands clenched into fists. But what if walking away means losing them? For good. My chest tightened. I hated this. Hated that loving me meant losing them. Hated that her loyalty to people who hadn't earned it was being weaponized. What about us? I asked quietly. Are we worth that cost? She looked at me for a long time. Yes, she whispered, but it doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I crossed the room and pulled her into my arms. Whatever happens at that dinner, I'll be here. You won't go through it alone. She nodded against my chest. But that night, as we lay in bed, I knew something was coming. A breaking point. A moment where Brooke would have to decide who she was willing to lose and who she couldn't live without. The night of the dinner came like a slow-moving storm. Too quiet at first, then building into something tense and electric. Brooke had gone early. Alone. She said it would be better that way, and I didn't argue. I knew this wasn't a fight I could join. This was hers to face. Her family. Her past. Her brother. But God, waiting? It was brutal. I spent the evening pacing my apartment, nursing a glass of scotch I didn't really want, checking my phone every 10 minutes. She hadn't texted, not even check-in. That silence spoke volumes. I didn't hear from her until almost midnight. Can I come over? I barely had time to type always before she was knocking on my door. When I opened it, she stood there in a dark coat, her eyes red, makeup smudged at the corners. Not broken, but battle-worn. She walked in without a word and sank onto the couch like her entire body had finally exhaled. I followed, careful, quiet, let her sit in the silence until she was ready. Then she said it. I met with Rachel earlier today. That caught me off guard. I thought you were going to dinner with your family. I did, but I saw her first. You sat beside her. What? She looked down at her hands. Because I needed to understand. I needed to hear from her what the hell she was thinking. Not for you. For me. For us. What did she say? Brooke leaned back, exhaling like she'd been holding it in for hours. She tried to play the victim at first. Said you'd grown distant. Said Evan understood her in ways you didn't. She said it was never about love. It was about escape. I clenched my jaw. Sound about right. But then Brooke continued. I asked her what she thought would happen. After the affair. After the lies. Did she really think you'd stay? That you'd forgive her? And Brooke turned to me, her expression tired and sharp all at once. She said yes. That floored me. She really thought you'd come back, Brooke whispered. That sleeping with Evan would somehow shock you into loving her better. I let that sink in, the bitter taste of it rising in my throat. That's not love. That's manipulation. Brooke nodded. I told her that. I reached for her hand. And then what? I told her I love you, she said simply. That this thing between us wasn't revenge. That it started messy, yeah, but that I chose it. I chose you. Something inside me cracked open. And what did she say? Brooke laughed bitterly. She told me I'd regret it. That you'd always have a piece of her. That no matter how much I gave you, she'd been there first. I didn't say anything. Just took her hand and kissed her knuckles one by one. She's wrong, I murmured. She was first, but she was never right. Brooke looked at me, eyes swimming. I know, but Sam, she's still in your life. Whether you like it or not. There's history there, and I need to know something. I straightened. Anything. Do you love me because of what she did? Or in spite of it? My heart thundered. I took a breath. I love you, I said, because you remind me who I really am. Because you saw the man buried under all the wreckage and pulled him out. Because when I'm with you, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just allowed to be. She blinked, and a single tear slid down her cheek. So it's real. It's real. She leaned forward then, her mouth finding mine in a kiss that was slow, deep, and full of all the words we hadn't said. Her coat slipped off her shoulders, revealing the black slip dress beneath it, and I felt my body react instantly. But this wasn't about sex. Not tonight. Not yet. This was about connection. She pulled away just enough to whisper, I'm done choosing between you and them. I already made my choice. Yeah. I whisper back. I want you. All of you. No matter what it costs. I kissed her again, harder this time. I could feel her body melting into mine, the tension dissolving between every touch, every sigh. We didn't need the bedroom. We barely made it to the couch. We moved like people finally free of everything heavy, finally ready to feel without fear. After, we lay tangled in the half-light, her head resting on my chest, my fingers tracing the line of her spine. Your parents? I asked quietly. They weren't thrilled, she said, but I told them the truth. About what Evan did. About how he tried to twist everything. I told him I wasn't going to let guilt or blood dictate who I love. And Evan, her voice went flat. I told him I didn't recognize him anymore. That the brother I knew would have confessed, would have apologized, not try to twist the knife deeper. I swallowed hard. Do you think he'll ever admit it? No, she said, but that's not my burden to carry. We lay there in silence for a while, the weight of the night slowly lifting. I'm proud of you, I said. She looked up at me. Why? For choosing truth, even when it hurt. Brooke smiled, soft and sad. It's easier to face the truth when someone's standing next to you. And I knew then, with certainty, that whatever came next, we were ready. Together. Some endings don't come with slammed doors or screaming matches. Sometimes they just fade, quietly, like a storm passing in the middle of the night. You wake up the next morning, the ground's still damp, the air's still heavy, but it's over. You survived. That's what the weeks after Brooke's confrontation felt like. The wreckage of what Rachel and Evan did still lingered, like soot clinging to everything. But there was no going back. The people we had been, the husband, the wife, the best friend, the loyal sister, they didn't exist anymore. And in their place, something new, something earned. Brooke and I moved in together not long after. Not because we needed to prove anything, but because being apart started to feel unnatural. She kept her photography studio downtown, and I started working part-time as a consultant, finally stepping back from the soul-draining corporate job that had made me numb for too long. We built a new routine, one that wasn't about appearances or perfection, but about us. Real, messy, beautiful. One sunny Saturday, we went to a small farmer's market just outside the city. Hand in hand, coffee in the other. We were laughing about something stupid. I think I made some smart-ass comment about artisanal pickles, and we turned a corner and ran right into Rachel. She froze. I did too. Brooke's grip tightened in mine, and I felt her body instinctively shift, not away, but closer. Rachel looked different. Tired, yes, but calmer, less performative. The girl who used to wear designer boots to brunch was now in jeans and a worn denim jacket, her hair pulled into a loose braid. Sam, she said. Rachel. Her eyes flicked to Brooke, then down to our joined hands. There was a pause, a long one. Then she spoke again. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. For lying. For hurting you. For blaming you when it was really about me. I was lost, and I used you both to feel wanted again. I blinked. The words hit with the weight of years behind them. Brooke said nothing, but she didn't let go of my hand. Rachel looked between us. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve it. But I am trying to be better. I've been seeing someone. A therapist. Not a man, she added with a tired laugh. Just someone who actually listens. Who makes me look at myself. I nodded slowly. That's good, Rachel. She smiled, small, sad, but genuine. You look happy. Both of you. Brooke met her eyes. We are. Rachel stepped back. Take care of each other. We will, I said. And then she walked away. We stood there in silence for a moment, the weight of her words settling between us. You okay? Brooke asked. I turned to her. Yeah, I think I finally am. And I meant it. We spent the rest of the day wandering through stalls, sampling honey and browsing handmade candles. But that encounter stayed with me. Not because I still felt anything for Rachel. Whatever love I had for her had died in our bedroom, the night I walked in and found her wrapped around someone else. But because her apology marked something final. A closing chapter. That night, as we lay in bed, tangled up in soft cotton sheets and warm limbs, I kissed Brooke's shoulder and whispered into her skin, You changed everything for me. She turned, brushing my cheek with her fingers. You let yourself be changed. I never thought I'd love someone again. Not like this. She smiled, soft and sleepy. I did. I raised an eyebrow. You knew. I hoped, she whispered. But I knew the moment you stopped using me as a reason to stay angry. That was the thing about revenge. It's satisfying briefly, but it doesn't heal. It doesn't build. What Brooke and I had started with pain, but what we built after that was honest. Grounded. Full of laughter, late-night drives, and little inside jokes that only made sense to us. We never rushed into anything again. No grand declarations. No performative perfection, just a quiet, daily promise. I see you. I choose you. And as the months passed, the noise faded. Evan moved out of state. Rachel rebuilt her life in quiet ways. And Brooke and I, we started ours.
What we just witnessed wasn't just a twist. It was reality hitting someone who thought they could get away with everything. In my opinion, this wasn't harsh. This was overdue. Now, I will guide you with clear life rules you should remember. Rule 1. Never tolerate repeated disrespect. Rule 2. Loyalty should never be one-sided. Rule 3. If someone only values you when they need you, walk away. Rule 4. Protect your peace, even if it means losing people. Rule 5. The moment trust breaks more than once, it's already over. These are not just lessons. They are boundaries you should live by. So tell me, was that ending too much, or exactly what needed to happen?